Hello, my name is Jacob Larian, and today I'll be talking about my animation video. First, I will list the devices and explain each one in turn. Then I will explain the famous pioneers in animation. Doing this will clarify anything about what the pioneer invented, so you will not be confused once I talked about it. Also, I will play videos of each device so you know in turn what they do, what they look like, and how you use it, because not everyone is an auditory learner. On we go to devices. First up, Magic Lantern. It was one of the first devices ever made to project images. The Magic Lantern is an early predecessor of the modern day projector. It consisted of a translucent oil painting, a simple lens, and a candle or lamp, or an oil lamp. In a darkened room, the image will appear projected onto an adjacent flat surface. It was invented in 1420 by Goviani de Fontana, and it is a device. And here's the video.
My animation timeline bit was the Magic Lantern. Although it wasn't actually ever defined who originally invented it, it's rumoured that a man called Thomas Wolgensten, I think that's how you say it, created it in 1660 to create sort of ghost shows, and he projected them on walls around the room, about 4 cameras, well not cameras, projectors, to create moving images that actually made people think they were actually ghosts, which was quite cool.
Yeah, she's kinda wrong, but she's talking about the people who used it after he invented it, so she's probably doing that.
That's him. He was Danish and he was a mathematician. In 1663, a London optician, John Reeves, began making basic lanterns for sale to larger companies, and he used them as moving images for backdrops and the base of sort of theatres. In 1668, an English scientist, Robert Hooke, published an article which described the workings and sort of technical aspects of the projector, and it was published into a sort of public article, or it wasn't a newspaper then, but it was an article booklet, and that launched it into the public eye. And that was called the Stern Lantern. Between 1880 and 1891, Joseph Boggs Beale created and screened the Victorian Christmas.
I'm just gonna skip that part because she just keeps talking and talking. She just goes on to the other ones, which I do not want her to do. Okay, next is the thaumatrope. A thaumatrope is a little cutout disc that has a picture on both sides, which goes together when you spin it very fast with 2 strings on both sides. The image is too fast for the eye to see individually, so it just perceives only the whole image. This was created in 1824 by Sir John Herschel, and it was a device. And here is the video. I just want to spare you from that. Okay, next is the phanastoscope. It is a disc with a series of images drawn by a radius spaced around the center of the disc. You spin the disc in a clockwise manner, making the images move up or down, depending on how you drew the picture to the way it moves. It was made in 1831 by Belgian Joseph Plateau and Austrian Simon von Staffer, and it was a device. And now we're going to look at the little video we have in store for us. Soon the second Next off is the zoostrope. The zoostrope, it has the same concept as the phenakistoscope, whatever, but it was facing upwards and had vertical walls that went up, which had slits in it so you can see the wheel produce an image. This was invented in 1834 by William George Horner, and it was a device.
Right, we have the zoetrope and some horse riding this time. So this is the cartoon inside, the zoetrope, an optical animation toy, Victorian toy. Particularly nice looking one, this one. It would look just nice sitting on the side. So let's take it for a spin.
As you can see the horse is ready. And she's going to spin it the other way too, so you can see
it's
the
like the horse
go
is
backwards
galloping.
too.
Now I spun this anti-clockwise, so I wonder what it would look like if we spun it clockwise. So, as you can see, that's what it looks like in between the slits. So let's turn it clockwise now. Yeah, it looks a lot better, doesn't it? The horse looks like it's going faster. So there's definitely a right or wrong way to spin it. But yeah.
It's kind of cute. Okay. Next off is the kineograph. Basically, we know it commonly as a flip book, which we probably know about modern times, which you draw images after image on a notebook with a lot of pages. Then you flip the pages very fast to create a fast image, casting an illusion of it moving. It was invented in 1868 by John Barnes Linnet, and it was a device and technically a technique since it provided inspiration for making a stop motion technique, which you will see later on. So, next up is the kinetoscope. It was one of the first early motion picture exhibition devices. It was a series of pictures inside of this big cubicle. Then you crank a wheel that turns the machine inside, which circulates a picture you watch through people, like the man's doing right there in the both two pictures. And yeah, would you circulate a picture you watch through people? And this was invented in 1889 by Thomas Edison, which is a famous guy, and it was a device. And here's a recording of what happened. It's going to show you what he saw inside too. Okay, so now that's out of the way. Next is the praxinoscope. It was basically a wheel like the zoostrope, but it had a wheel inside the wheel, which in turn projected a fast-moving image. This was invented in 1877 by Charles Emile Renaud, and it was a device, as you see here. that was the Praxinoscope. Next is the cinematograph. It is an early motion picture projector and is used film to make the images come out that ran through a wheel that projected on a screen. It was invented in 1892 by Leon Boley, and it was a device and technique that was further used to make better movies. Okay, so that was a little fancy video. Okay, the rotoscope. Usually used for live action animated films, it goes from frame to frame and is mostly projected on a frosted glass panel and redrawn by an animator. It was invented in 1915 by Max Fleischer, and it was a technique. Also, it was the first use of a stop motion picture, which you will see here. Okay, I'm just gonna spare you that. Okay, so next off is the stop motion, an animation technique that makes the object move by using FPS, frames per second. It is mostly used in animations for movement in at 24 FPS usually. Plus, it contains a series of images that are put into frames to create the movement too. It was created in 1898 by Albert E. Smith and J. Stewart Blackton, and it was a technique. Also, the rotoscope was the first device to utilize stop motion too, which we just seen earlier. And this is pizza making. I'm not going to show the whole thing, but I'm just going CGI. CGI, computer generated imagery. It was created in 1995 by Sergey Godin and Andre Mbwe, which is where a computer generates images that are way better quality and make it look more realistic, as seen in the pictures to my left and right corners. In modern times, they use this in films, television programs, commercials, the internet, printed media, and mostly video games, if you see that tank in front of me. Most videos nowadays use CGI to make the action look cooler with a generated background too, as you see in the tank and the other ones. oh, 26 seconds of this. You can see that the tank is generating imagery, and the background is too. A little fake sun, fake trees, fake land, fake dirt, fake tank. Okay, that was horrible. Fake tank. And, yeah, you can just see it's amazing what it can do. It's better than nothing, right? Alright, there you go. Okay, now we're doing famous pioneers for animation. First is Thomas Edison. He invented the kinetograph in 1891. Then, in 1897, he created the projectoscope, which was a modification to the kinetograph, but it showed the images outside of the box, as you see in the two pictures. Emil Reynaud. He invented the praxinoscope in 1877. In 1888, he modified the praxinoscope into the theatre optique, I think, which was a larger version of it, but it was used in theaters, as you see in those two pictures. And the right picture is the projectoscope. James Stewart Blackton. He was one of the first people to use stop motion and drawn animation near the year 1900. Also, he was known as the father of animation, getting the name by making the first animated film in America. Plus, he would often combine animation with real-life footage to create his films, as you see there in these two images. Emile Cole, also one of the first animators to utilize stop-motion animation. Too similar to Blackton, he made animated cartoons, but with no real-life performances as well. Additionally, he was known for his strange, bizarre films, like wireframe stick people, but in a dark landscape, as you see right here. Winston McKay. Little Nemo, 1911, which has made him famous. Another early animated film which showcased McKay showing his pals his new animation idea for his cartoon, as you see there in the images. He was one of the first to animate using cells with his film The Sinking of the Lusitania. Also, cell animation is when an animator draws it by hand, which is before the use of CGI. Otto Mesmer created the first licensed mass merchandise cartoon character, Felix the Cat, as you see in the two pictures right there. The cat and his cartoon. The character appeared in multiple comics and cartoon shorts until the 1930s and later in a comic series in the 1940s. Walt Disney, famous guy I think. He was the first person to create the sound cartoon Steamboat Willie in 1928. The first color cartoon Flowers and Trees in 1932. The first animated motion picture Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in 1938. And made the first use of the letterbox format in the film Sleeping Beauty in 1959. Ed Catmull, and if you don't know, in the left picture that's Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's a computer-generated image of the bad guys. He is one of the first three founders of the company Pixar in 1968, or some of the people that were first to use the CGI program for creating simulations and animations. And there you go. That's the end. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day.